Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban. That's exactly what's happening right now. After 20 years of marriage, it seems like they're both walking away from each other. The whispers have been circling for a while, but now it's all but confirmed they're heading for a divorce. And here's where it gets wild. Keith's already with someone else. It's like something out of a movie, right? But this one's real. And the rumors are that it all started way back in the summer. Can you imagine the shockwaves? It's not just the split itself, but the fact that Keith might have already moved on so quickly. I don't know about you, but when a relationship ends, there's always that question that lingers. Was there something more going on behind closed doors? Was there infidelity? Some say the signs are all there. But the real kicker is how Nicole hasn't come out to deny any of it. It's like everyone in Nashville is talking about it, and people close to the couple are saying that Keith even has his own place there now, his own bachelor pad. Here's the thing, though. For months, I've been calling this out. I just had this feeling that something wasn't right between them, and now it's starting to make sense. Sure, they've been through a lot over the years, but the fact that they separated back in June and we didn't even know until now, that's a red flag right there. I mean, who can forget when Nicole posted that anniversary message on Instagram? She was still celebrating their love, just days before the news broke. It's crazy, but even with all that's going on, it's hard not to feel a little sad. Because let's face it, 20 years, that's a lifetime for most people. In Hollywood, it's practically unheard of. We're talking about a marriage that spanned 2 decades through the highs, the lows, and everything in between. They have kids, too, 2 of them. A 17-year-old and a 14-year-old. You know those kids are probably feeling the weight of all this. I know a lot of you might have your own thoughts on this situation. And yeah, maybe Nicole's been busy with work and sure, she's been taking on roles with younger co-stars. But does that really mean Keith should check out? I don't know. I can't help but wonder if that was part of the equation. Maybe he just couldn't take it anymore. And Nicole, well, she was reportedly fighting for this marriage. She didn't want to give up. But sometimes it's just not enough, right? Look at what she was saying just a few months ago. She was talking about their anniversary, about how Keith still makes the effort to take her out on date nights. She shared how much she loved the little moments they had together. But all the while, things behind the scenes were unraveling. It's hard to imagine that just a few weeks ago she was wearing her wedding ring, still holding on to hope. Then, boom, the news breaks and everything comes crashing down. And let's not forget the Portugal thing. I remember talking about this before, how Nicole was looking into a visa for Portugal. She was planning to live there, and guess what? Keith wasn't going with her. That felt off to me right from the start. Why would she go alone? That was the first sign that something wasn't right. Of course, they tried to cover it up, saying Keith would apply for the visa later, but that didn't feel true. It was just another piece of the puzzle that had been sitting there, waiting for someone to notice. Now, Nicole's eyeing a house in an exclusive area of Portugal Costa Golf and Ocean Club. Imagine it, neighbors with people like Paris Hilton and George Clooney. It's a world away from the Nashville life they built. But here's the thing, it makes sense. Nicole's been dealing with a lot and she needs a fresh start. Maybe this new chapter is what she needs to heal. And let's be real, Keith's side of the story? It's a little different. Word on the street is Keith's friends have known for a while that this was coming. How wild is that? After 2 decades together, your friends are all in the know before you even are. And from what we hear, the split was something people saw coming. Nicole, on the other hand, has been leaning on her family for support. They've been there for her, and it's clear that she never wanted this to happen. But in a way, maybe she saw the writing on the wall, too. There's only so much you can do when the other person's heart just isn't in it anymore. Honestly, I'm curious to see what happens next. Nicole's love life has been a roller coaster, first Tom Cruise, now Keith Urban. What's next for her? What's her next chapter going to look like? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But one thing's for sure. As much as we talk about these Hollywood divorces, there's always a story behind them. And sometimes it's not as simple as we think. It's complicated, it's messy, and it's heartbreaking. These are real people, with real emotions. And no matter where they go next, they'll carry the weight of all these years with them. It's always tough when you get that feeling that something's not quite right, but you can't put your finger on it yet. That's where a lot of people are right now with Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman. I mean, after all these years, it's just hard to believe. But when you step back and really think about it, is anyone really surprised anymore? There's been talk for months, but it looks like we've all been in the dark about just how much things have changed. One Reddit user put it pretty bluntly. They gave it a good run, especially in Hollywood. Time 20 years is like 45. Which, in an industry where relationships come and go faster than you can blink, that's kind of impressive. But here's the kicker. The prenup is up at 20 years, so it's not just love and emotions on the line here. There's a lot at stake. One commenter even threw out the theory that Keith might come out as gay after the divorce, joking about his lesbian haircut and his rumored Nashville babe. People are going wild on Reddit, but honestly, it's all speculation. It's just all a little too much, don't you think? Now, as we dive deeper, it's easy to see how people might feel uncomfortable with the whole situation. Keith and Nicole always seemed like one of those couples that would just last forever, right? They were the epitome of Hollywood couple goals. But when you start peeling back the layers, you realize things weren't always as perfect as they seemed. Nicole's been through a lot. I mean, just think about the time when Keith went to rehab right after they got together. It was a huge moment for their relationship. And Nicole, being the supportive partner she is, was there for him every step of the way. But listen to what Nicole said about that whole situation when she opened up in an interview about Keith's battle with addiction. She talked about how hard it was, how she wanted to be the one to fix everything, to take the pain away. But she also had this moment of clarity, realizing that as much as she wanted to help him, he had to help himself. It's such a massive lesson for anyone going through something similar. You can't carry the weight of someone else's struggles forever. You have to let them do the work. Now, speaking of that work, let's talk about the cracks that people have been noticing. Because it's one thing to hear rumors, but it's another when you start seeing things yourself. For one, when's the last time you saw Nicole and Keith together in public? For a couple that used to make such a big deal of their red carpet moments and social media posts, it's been radio silent. The last time Nicole publicly celebrated their marriage was on their anniversary back in June. But since then, nothing. She hasn't even acknowledged him online. It's like the silence is louder than anything else, and it's not just the lack of public appearances that raises eyebrows. Nicole's career has been evolving in a way that seems to be, well, triggering for Keith. She's been taking on some pretty provocative roles lately. And there was even that radio interview where Keith got so upset about the questions regarding her movie scenes that he hung up. Yeah, you heard that right. The radio host asked him about Nicole's love scenes with younger actors, and it didn't sit well with him. At all. But here's the thing, people have been talking about Nicole and Keith's relationship for years. There's always been speculation, always been blind items pointing to trouble in paradise. And now it seems like it's all coming to a head. A blind item from May even suggested that Nicole was upset with Keith for his obsession with another A-list singer, Ariana Grande, no less. But if you thought that was wild, hold on. Another blind item hinted at Nicole herself stepping out of the marriage, supposedly getting cozy with someone else while overseas at the Olympic Games. And let's not even get started on the rumors about her and her bodyguard. Yeah, apparently they're a little too friendly, if you know what I mean. So now here we are. Keith's reportedly got another woman, Nicole's off doing her thing, and the questions just keep piling up. What really happened here? Is Keith really over it, or is something else going on? Did Nicole try to keep it together, or is she already moving on in her own way? We're left with so many questions, and not a lot of answers. I mean, if you ask me, this whole thing is a mess. No one wants to see a family break apart, especially not after 20 years. And yeah, sure, there are the kids, the teenage kids who are probably caught in the middle of all this. With both parents always busy, one's on tour, the other's working around the clock, it makes you wonder who's actually raising them. I've heard stories of Hollywood kids calling their nannies mom more than they call their own mom. And that's just the reality for some families in the spotlight. But here's the thing, when it comes to celebrities like Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban, it's all too easy to get caught up in the drama, the headlines, and the speculation. It's fun to dissect their every move, analyze their body language, and read between the lines of their public statements. We all do it, right? We see these famous couples and imagine what life must be like for them. The red carpets, the lavish homes, the endless trips and events. They seem so perfect from the outside, almost like they're living in some fairy tale. But what we forget is that at the end of the day, these are real people. And real people go through real struggles. They face heartbreak, betrayal, disappointment just like anyone else. It's easy to throw out our theories and opinions from the comfort of our screens. But behind all the glitz and glamour, there's a lot of pain. These two have been together for 20 years, a lifetime in Hollywood. That's a long time to build something with someone. They've experienced highs like celebrating anniversaries, watching their kids grow, achieving career milestones, and lows too. Maybe we only see a fraction of it, but that fraction is still enough to know that being in the spotlight doesn't make them immune to life's challenges. And honestly, it's heartbreaking to watch. The problem with gossip, though, is that it's often one-sided. We only hear the pieces that get out to the public, the things that the media can sink their teeth into. We don't know what's happening behind closed doors. We don't know what conversations have been had, what emotions have been bottled up, or how many attempts were made to fix what's broken. So while it's easy to assume or guess, we can never truly understand the full story. And that's something I think we all need to keep in mind. I'm not here to place blame or pass judgment on either of them. Relationships are complicated, and sometimes, despite our best efforts, they don't work out. And while it's tempting to point fingers or pick sides, it's important to remember that they're both human. They both have their flaws, their mistakes, their regrets. What's happening now, whatever the truth is, doesn't define their entire relationship. It's a chapter, not the whole book. And I think that's what's hardest to watch is the unraveling of something that was once so solid. There's something profoundly sad about seeing people who once seemed inseparable slowly drift apart. And not just the couple, but their kids too. The teenage years are tough enough without having to navigate divorce. I can't imagine what it's like for them, caught between two parents who are living separate lives, especially when both are so busy with their own careers. It's not like they have the luxury of a quiet, normal life. They're constantly in the spotlight, under constant scrutiny, while trying to make sense of their own emotions. But ultimately, I think what we all hope for, at least, what I hope for is that no matter what happens, they find a way to heal, for themselves, for their kids, for everyone involved. It's not about who was right or wrong, or who made the bigger mistake. It's about finding peace, and sometimes that peace comes from walking away, even when it feels like you've given everything. Sometimes it's about accepting that things change, that people change, and that sometimes letting go is the healthiest option, even if it's the hardest. What do you think, though? Do you think this was inevitable? Or is there more to the story than we'll ever know? Relationships are never black and white, and this one certainly seems to have layers we might never fully understand. Let me know what you think in the comments below because I'd really love to hear your thoughts. Maybe we're all reading into it too much, or maybe we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. Either way, this is a story that's still unfolding, and we're all watching to see how it plays out.